Good morning, folks. This is Corey Babka from the Marks Group, just doing our monthly webinar, you know, uh, webinar for Salesforce tips and tricks. That's what we're doing this morning. This, of course, goes over the tips that were done probably the end of February into early March, and then, as usual, 3 weeks later, so we do them online and show everyone that can just jump in and go for it. So we can look at it. I am recording this. I do have everyone on mute as well. If you do need to chat with me at any point, go ahead and use the chat. I'm going to actually take that part and move it to the other side of my screen so I can see it. In case you do have any questions or anything you need to clarify, please go ahead and do that. I do record these because we post them up on our YouTube channel. If you do have any issues, anything like that with the, I'm actually going to share just a window. It's going to make things a little bit easier as well. Screen of monitor. Just a window. There we go. We're just going to share that. Now this is actually just being shared. It'll make it a little bit easier for us. And that way I can keep things up on the side and make sure that if anyone does raise their hand, have any questions, then we can take care of those. So essentially our webinar today is there's 3 different pieces to it. Number 1 is the piece that is adding a lead to a home page. Okay, I'm going to show you how that works there. And then I'm also going to show you some reporting and some dashboard stuff. Okay, so again, these are always found on our website, marksgroup.net, and under our blog section. And we post them up the end of the month. A few weeks later, end of the following week or end of the following month, then we go ahead and do this. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied this morning. 80 things going on today. Anyway, so let's we'll focus on this and let's see what we got. So the one thing that I'm going to show you first right away, and this is actually in our tips area. I'd actually mentioned that this was an old one, but a good one. I actually put this up probably I think like 2 years ago, but I want to repost it because I do find it valuable. And what I have here is this. It's in your home page. You normally have your dashboard and some tasks, and you can customize and do all this kind of stuff. There's my tasks, there's my calendar. What I've got here, though, is an extra view that's called my lead list, right? And so my lead list here, it allows me to put in an extra lead, which is just my open leads, right? If I go here to my leads area, this is all open leads. Go, there's my view. That's all fine. I'm going to actually show my screen because there's something goofy that I want to make sure that I am. I want to just show the entire main monitor too. There we go. Make sure we can see that. Actually, am I? Yes, we're going to do that one there. Okay, so we've got this here, and this is our screen. A little bit of blue off to the side. That's because I have the webinar stuff. But what we've got is this open leads view. I can actually show over here in my main page, and then I can see all my open leads. I can even do this and say my unread leads or my today's leads, and I can see this as almost a dashboard, right? In a way. Well, what I also have in here, the only thing that I've run into problems with, if I do actually open this lead up, it opens a new window, which is fine. That's, I think, is okay, right? But there is a scroll action that's within, kind of confuses some people. It can cause some issues. So it's not for the faint of heart, I guess, but I do like it. It allows me to do it. So how do we make it? Well, the thing that we have to do is it is a visual force page. So I'm going to go to my setup area, as I usually do, and I'm going to just search and do visual. Okay, and there's my visual force pages. Okay, go into here, and I actually have it in here already is what it is, but essentially what we've done, it's called lead list view is what I built. There it is, lead list view. What I essentially did was this. I created a new one, okay? And then in the markup section, the hardest part is actually finding this code for you. You know, in full disclosure, a lot of times I find these things on Google. I do a search for it, and I say I want to list, you know, a visual force page for leads, whatever it is. What's important here is this. So I'm going to show you my other browser page, and I actually have the code right here. This is the code that we paste in, okay, and that's what it is. Now there are certain things that you can do, like I believe you can take lead and you can make it like a count right here where it says list views, right? So there are ways of doing it that it's not necessarily has to be leads. It could be contact, could be activities. I've done stuff in the past where there's an extra tab for calendar. It's the same type of idea. So what you would do is you do this, you delete this out, paste the code in, save it, right? And then away we go. Now, once you save it, it becomes a part of this list of your Visualforce pages. Okay, but that's not where we're done. What we have to do is then go to our home page components, right? And then you can add in a new custom component, right? I'm gonna, you would do new. You'd give it a. This is where it allows you to say, what can I do here? You can do like a company logo or whatever it is. But I would say a Visualforce area or Visualforce page, right? Actually, let's go back to here. So we go back to here. We got standard components. Then we got custom components, right? And I would say new. We're going to say next on that. It's going to be a Visualforce area, and I would say lead list, right? Something like that. Next. And then it would say, what's the name of the page? And that's when you go through and say, I want my lead list. And there it is. Okay, give it your height. How tall do you want it? Scroll bars, a label. I would check both of those. Okay, you want to do that because you don't want them to be there. Okay, that's actually just creating the component. So there's actually like 3 steps to this, which is really kind of annoying, I know, but you got to just stay through it. So you create the page first, then you create it and build it as part of a home page component, right? Then from there, we can go to our home page again. I'm going to search for home again in here, and I get home page layouts. And this is where we add the thing in. We have our dashboard. This is my home, my default layout, right? And I just add that one component in here, okay? What I do is you can just check it off. Lead list, that's it, right? That's what I can do right there. And you can put it in here. There's other things that you can also do, like I have another one that's leads that I did, when testing this out. So you can do some stuff here. This is if you ever wondered, how do I create some things over on this side? Well, you do the same thing, right? Like here's my custom links if I want to do that, and say next. And then you save it, right? Custom links, I can bring it in. That's in the narrow. I can move them up and down and say I want it there. And that's essentially what you're doing for your home page. So now I have custom links, and they are down here. There aren't any in there, but that's how you actually make this happen. Messages and alerts, a lot of people like to do that, like to do company messages, holidays coming up. You can move that up and it will always be there. Okay, so something to keep in mind, because everyone always ends up at the home page. And that ends up being our first tip. Okay. All right, so next one we're going to look at is let me go back. This is actually, it's a little bit out of order on the way that our blog page worked out, just because of the way I posted it. Apologies for that, but I think you'll figure out what it is. There's 2 areas. Let me just show you. So we've got create a dashboard component, and then we've got create a report. Obviously, to create the dashboard component, we have to create the report first. So that's what we're actually going to end up doing. Okay. So I'm going to create the report. All right. And creating a report is just as easy as going here. Okay. And we're going to create a new report. I'm going to use one here. I already did it on this side. Like here's the leads by product. Okay. I'm going to do a new report that's called leads by month. I'm just winging it right here, so hopefully this goes out without a hitch, or it goes off without a hitch. So I'm going to go to my reports area here, and I'm going to scroll down and say I want a lead report. And that's fine. You can do this right here, or you can do a new report, right? It's up to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say new report in here. Because it knows it's a lead area, or this is where I actually choose it, I'm going to say what type of leads, and I'm going to say lead, and I'm going to say create. They're kind of doing you a favor here, because what they do is they give you everything that has happened in this, I'm sorry, they give you the default values, the default fields for your lead area, right? So here's my lead records. This is the fields that they think are important. We can obviously add and remove, fields based on what we're doing here. Just a little word of a tip for you when you're doing this. Like I could do type, and then it would show me all those things, or I could say status, and it would show me my lead status, right? And then you just drag and drop it in, right? And I could do that, and there's open, contacted, all that, right? So what I could do here is I could actually take this, and my report is fine. the way it is. But I'm going to save this, okay? So for in my case here in my sample, I did a custom field called product. I'm not going to do that here. We're going to do it instead. We're going to leave it alone, and just you can review the blog post if you want where I put in a custom field because that's what I want to group by. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually put in the month, okay? Like so the create date, right? And so if I say date in here, I got create date. I put this into here, put it in there. I'm going to remove lead owner. They're all mine, right? Because I have my leads, or I could just do open leads, all leads, right? But I also want to kind of do this where I want to make sure that their status is not, you know, if I say lead status, not equal to, I could put it here and say qualified or unqualified, right? So I just want to see my open ones. If I cared, if I just wanted my open ones, that's what I would do. In this case here, since we're doing by month, I'm going to cancel that, and I want to see the number of leads that we've done by month. Okay, so I'm going to say the create date is going to be, let's just do like a rolling 12 months. Okay, so it'd be, where's my month? Sorry, I want last X months. Calendar year, calendar month, calendar week, previous, and let's just do something like this. We'll just say, we could do current fiscal quarter, current year, just do current calendar year. Okay, and this is going to be a rolling thing that will always change, right? So there's my create date, all that kind of stuff. This is my report. I'm going to save it before I lose anything. I'm going to say leads by month. Okay, and we have that. I put in my personal customer reports. That's fine. I can save it. If you do want it available to the entire company, you have to put it in the company report, or at least share out your my personal reports folder so people could see it. If they don't have it and they can't see it, then you're kind of done, right? So I want to see, I actually have in my blog post here, I have like last month, last 90 days, something like that. See, I could do it this way. Let's just do last 90 days for the hell of it. So it's a rolling 3 months. Okay. So I've got the create date, last 90 days. I'm going to save that, and we're all good. However, we want to be able to do a chart. Okay, and to be able to do a chart, you have to actually have a grouping. Okay, so like for instance, right now I can't add in a chart, but if I take this and I change it to a summary report, okay, what it does, it allows you to put in the grouping. So my create date is actually right here. I'm going to put it into there, and there's my create date. Okay, so now my create date, we've got a summary thing going on here. You notice it's by days. Okay, that's fine. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to hit this drop arrow here, and I'm going to group dates by, and this is where it really does the work for you. I say calendar month. And now I've got January, February, and then I should have March in there as well. Right now it's just a sample. But you notice now I have that add chart area. Okay? So I'm going to save this again, make sure it's that way. I actually don't like this. I want to go a little bit further, the last 120 days. So there's December, there's January again. I can save this, and if I run it, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to see December, January, March, February, right? All those are in there, okay? So last 120 days. Go back to my customize, and if I wanted to, if you want to test things out at this point, you could do a chart, okay? We could also do another grouping here that I might say lead status into here. So I got December, there's open, January open, qualified, unqualified, okay, and I can do that, and we'll see what that does when I start to actually get the dashboard component running, okay. So I'm going to save this report, and then we're done. That's it, okay. That's our report. So you can have obviously some little things that you can do with reports depending on what version of Salesforce you have. You can actually do it where you can schedule these reports, right? Like I can actually look at this leads by month, and I can edit this thing, or I can just run it. What you do is you run it first, and then from here, I can actually schedule it, right? So you can schedule things and they go out to certain people. This is not in the blog post, but if you do that, you can actually schedule it to email to different people, to other users, so on and so forth, okay? All right, so let's go out to our dashboard area. So that kind of ended tip number 2. So tip number 3 is we're going to go to the dashboard. We're going to take that and we're going to make it into a dashboard. How do I get it to appear here? Okay. Now, a couple caveats with dashboards. Number 1 is this dashboard here, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of them. There's 4. Well, I'm only seeing these 3. Salesforce by default only shows you the top 3 reports or charts in your dashboard, and that's it. Okay, so if you have a primary dashboard and it's got multiple fields and all that, if they want to actually see it, they have to click on it, which you can do, right? I can go here and go to the, I think I can go to the full dashboard. This actually goes to the report. I thought there was a way to pop it out. And so therefore you'd have to go to your dashboard to get to that dashboard to see it all, I guess. I thought there was a way to pop it out, but there's not. It actually goes to the reports. So what I have here is I can actually add in a new component. So we're going to edit this guy, right? And we're going to add in a new report piece, okay? Just making sure. I'm going back to my blog page just to make sure. Bear with me a second. Just want to make sure that I've done everything here to make sure that we're good, okay? So in the dashboards, let's go back out. There are other dashboards sometimes, right? Like I've got, here's my primary, there's an adoption one that usually comes with the system, right? There's company performance, which is another one that comes with Salesforce. I did the primary one, or my primary one I built a long time ago. Okay, so I find that here, I'm going to add in a new report, and I'm going to edit it just like we were doing before. So I edit this thing here, and what I'm going to do is take a chart, I'm going to take a component, and I'm going to drag and drop it in. Now you got your Visual Force page. That's great, right? If I wanted to, I could put that other piece in here, for instance, right? And I could put in what's the data source. We'll go back to that. Let's go back to that in a second. Okay. Let me scroll over so I can remove that. All right, so let's go back and put a chart in. So I'm going to drag and drop this. Sorry, I didn't mean to digress. Okay, and I can go here and say there's my header, and I'll say leads by month. Okay, if I want to put a title in for the chart, I can, but I don't necessarily want to do that just yet. Okay, edit your footer, whatever you want to do. You could say things like open, closed, or I could say all statuses. Okay, something like that if I wanted to. I'm going to go in here, and it says drag a data source here to add data. So I go to my data sources, I go to my reports, right? And if I want to, I can just do lead, and it will find them all. And there's my leads by month. Take this, drag it right on top. Okay. Now it's going to try and do you a favor and think as to what it's going to do first. Like it's going to try and figure out how do you want it to go. Okay. You know, what do you want it to look like, right? And so here it is. It does by month. That's fine. Okay. That's what it did for me. And honestly, right now, we're good. But I want to do a little bit different. I want to see if I can do something else here. I'm going to edit this here. By going to the wrench, I can actually change things. Okay? And I'm going to put in to see if I can do an additional, I can do things like show the values. If I want to show the values, it'll show me the numbers. Okay? Or show details on hover. A lot of times people do that instead. They put your mouse over it. It'll say 13, 8, 15. Okay? I'm going to go to component data because I want to see if I can do another grouping by this. There it is. See, I could do another one here that actually shows me if I wanted to, or I could do this one, which I kind of like a little bit better, right? And it shows me the numbers of open, qualified, unqualified, contacted, right? And then I can say, okay. And now we've got a nice pretty dashboard, right? We've got a nice pretty chart that shows me status, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Now, if I save it, that's fine, but again, it will not show up unless I do this and move this guy up here. Okay? And by doing that, let me see, I may have to move him around. I'm going to move him down there, that moves up, move this guy over here, and now I've got another chart, so I can save this. Okay, if I go back to my home page, I'm just going to right click and go here just so I can go back to the home page. Now I have, see, all statuses for leads, that's my footer. This is actually calculating, and it's doing it this way, and my whole dashboard is refreshing, and this will show up If we give it a second, and there's my lead, my report, my chart. So I've got a dashboard chart right there. It's all based off of this. If I want to do that other thing that I was talking about, you can also create new dashboards. Like I can do dashboard properties, where you can say, like if I want to do a new dashboard, I think if this is where we determine it. I mess around a little bit here and there. Primary dashboard. I'm going to do a clone. Dashboard list. Sorry, go back to dashboard list. I do new dashboard. So from here, this is where I think I can actually change the properties, right? So I can remove that column, and now it becomes a wider one, right? And why would I do that? Well, you might do that because you want to do something like take a Visualforce page, do this, and then we can add that data source in the Visualforce pages. My lead list that we did earlier in this lead list view, I can drag it right in here, and there's my dashboard. It's not great though because I can't change this around, right? I'm trying to figure out if there's a way, but I don't think I can add in or make this. I can actually go wide. There's that there, and here I can go narrow. But that's about all I can do. So I want to make it one column, but I can't. And so this is what a lot of people will do. So instead you get that Visualforce page. But this is why you can add Visualforce pages, and you can add charts and all these different things. Here's a report. Like if I do that, that's actually a data report, a tabular, right? Here's another one. Okay, it's another report there, data sources. So you've got your grids, your views, what you can do. Okay, so that would be it. That's our 3 tips for the day. So just to sum up, we went over how to create this lead list view, which you see my scrolling is working now, which is fine. And then we've also got things here. The chart itself, which came from our report, is what it was. So in all 3 of these tips, go into further detail on the website. Go to marksgroup.net, and then in the marksgroup.net page, let me just show you where we get there. If I go to marksgroup.net, we have resources, and there's our CRM blog. You'll find Zoho, Goldmine, Salesforce, and you've noticed we've changed it a little bit, so there's more of a read more section, so it allows to fit more into the current page. Hopefully that's going to make it a little bit better for you as a user. Any questions for me on these things, of course, you can always get me at Corey, C-O-R-E-Y, at marksgroup.net, M-A-R-K-S-G-R-O-U-P.net. All right, wish you all the best. Have a good day, and we're all set. Thank you, folks. Thanks for attending.